Arizona would have no crime if deterrence actually worked, and that's not the case. About 50% of the people who are in prison right now have been in there before. So there's a disconnect there. We have to actually address this where people have healing, where their trauma is addressed, and putting somebody in a cage doesn't do that. In fact, it increases the likelihood that they're going to commit more crimes.
Arizona is in vital need of drastic criminal justice reform. We are the 5th highest incarcerator in the country. We have the highest rate of incarcerated Latinx people, and unfortunately, we are way behind on common sense reforms that other states have implemented. We still have what was known as truth in sentencing, which was passed by many states in the mid-90s. Most states have gotten rid of truth in sentencing because they realize that it's ineffective, that it instead tore communities apart, keeps people in prison for long, long periods of time without sort of any public safety benefit to this. And it ballooned both prison populations and budgets, right? So Arizona spends over $1.1 billion every year just to lock people up in prison. And that doesn't even account for the money spent on the front end of the criminal justice system, where we're spending massive amounts of money to prosecute people for both minor and more serious crimes. That encourages people while they're still in prison to seek treatment and sort of classes that will help them when they are released. Right now, there's absolutely no incentive whatsoever for anyone to sort of seek those things out, assuming that they're even available in the Arizona Department of Corrections, because you gain nothing from doing so.
When I was 13 years old, my mom bought me a guitar from Bazaar Guitar on 7th Avenue in Campbell. She bought me a blue Flying V, Antares Flying V guitar. It was the coolest thing in the world. And I took to the guitar like a duck takes to water. I just loved it, became completely passionate about the guitar. I was a professional musician for a number of years, so the culture was a substance abuse culture. And so I had substance abuse issues, and I had a relationship breakup on me, and my way that I dealt with that was to get harder into drugs and substance abuse, and that ultimately led to my criminal convictions. I got done getting my paralegal degree in 2008. I've been doing legal work for people. I've been a GED teacher. I started a music theory program in the Department of Corrections, which is still being taught in there today. And as far as it was related to my sentence, none of it mattered at all. The guy that was laying on his bunk watching television all day was going to get out the same amount of time as I was. There was no incentive whatsoever to do better, to do good. It was only that light at the end of the tunnel, which was my kids. And if I was unable to recognize that, as so many of the fellow inmates were unable to do, then we have that system of recidivism.
When we talk about earned release credits and addressing truth in sentencing, it's not about letting people out early. It's about providing incentives for people to improve themselves, to obtain treatment, to get counseling. We're missing out on what can actually be done to get people out and make them contributing members of our community.
It costs $6,000 a year to educate a child right now in Arizona. It costs, on average, $25,000 a year to incarcerate me for the number of years that I was in there. So every year I was in there, I was consuming the education budget of 4 children. Now when you multiply that times 42,000 inmates, that has an enormous negative impact on our education system. Those things are part of the cycle that we're angry about in the first place. We're making it worse, not better.
I think in 2020, we are really optimistic that there can be some changes. There have been more bills introduced on both sides of the aisle this year than there has been in the last decade. Last year, we did get a bill passed through our bipartisan coalition, and then unfortunately it was vetoed by the governor. And I think a lot of people realize there are some structural barriers to this, and we need to keep having these conversations.
This is insanity. This is absolute insanity, and we need to stop it, and we can stop it. It's super easy to incarcerate somebody, but that comes as a poverty of imagination and investigation into therapeutic programs and legitimate paradigms that actually cause people to not go back to prison and reduce recidivism and stop committing crime.